Hey everyone, do you remember what you're doing 10 years ago? Was there something you had to learn even if it felt like a struggle? Today we're going to talk about two things, spring collapse, calligraphy rehab, and practicing calligraphy by imitation. First, let's get the ink ready. I got two types here. The one with the purple bottle is great for everyday practice, while the blue captured ink is thicker and better for writing on spring collapse paper. Now we lie down a calligraphy mat. It's super useful. Not only does it protect your desk from ink slipping through, but it also absorbs any extra ink on your brush. Last but definitely not least, let's talk about the inkstone. This is a home for ink, and traditionally a special container called an inkstone is used, but honestly anything shallow with a bit depth will do. Alright, it's time to choose a piece to imitate. Imitation is all about closely recapping the strokes, spacing, and techniques of the origin. For us, this means practicing over and over to figure out how each stroke is created. For example, how do you execute an upward stroke? Should your wrist apply more pressure here or move faster there? Since we're only working with this final product, it's kind of like an archaeology work, demonstrating the starting points and movements of each strokes as we go. And I have to say, one of the trickiest part of calligraphy is getting the spacing between strokes just right. Even the slightest variation can completely change this visual balance and beauty of a character. That's why understanding the structure of each character takes so much time and effort, and honestly, I'm grateful for this ancient masters. They've already done the trial and errors for us, leaving behind timeless works for us to learn from. Now, driving from my college day, I know which calligraphy style feels most natural for me to write, so this time I didn't hesitate to choose work by Wang Xizhi and his son Wang献之. After evaluating their style, I decided to focus on semicurves, which I just started by analyzing and practicing the strokes with pencil before moving on to the brush. It really helps more and make this transition smoother. So I decided to take it one step at a time, starting with one version of the character and moving on the next once I've got to hang it off. For example, that Wang Xizhi's character for Fu Lucky and semicurves have two distinct styles. So I've decided to take it one step at a time, starting with one version of the character and moving on the next once I've got the hang of it. Since both versions come from the same calligrapher, understanding one style often reveals helpful clues for mastering the other. It's all about working smart, not harder. So, why do I call this rehab? Well, back in college, I actually spent an entire year learning calligraphy. It was a required course, so I had no choice but to face it, hang on. By the second semester, we will dive into semicurves and curves, strips, which requires a ton of practice. Every Friday morning when I didn't have class, I dedicate the entire time to practicing. I write one sheet, toss it on the floor, and keep going until I was surrounded by a calligraphy zone. Now, almost 10 years later, picking up the brush again feels both excitedly fresh and kind of like fell into a swirl of nostalgia. Alright, I'm still proudly on my calligraphy rehab journey. Stay tuned for the next episode where we'll dive into writing spring collapse. This is X28. Thanks for watching.